The University of Michigan sign stealing scandal is one of the more laughable scandals in sports of the past few years. Now, if you're sort of putting these things in some sort of ranking system, I don't know yet, because every day it gets more bizarre and more comical. But there's no way this scandal, which is going to be taken seriously, there's going to be real ramifications with this. If you don't know about it, I'll explain it to you in a way that the Coen brothers, who make hilarious movies, could appreciate, because that is exactly what this is. This is a Coen brothers movie. And my favorite new character is involved. But this scandal, how silly it is, how laughable it is, how absolutely pointless it is, it still cannot beat the fake high school team with the fake coach and the fake players, and by the way, a fake bishop. That was everyone's favorite, Bishop Sycamore High School. That's the best scandal. That's just the best. It is just, I don't know we'll have anything that beats that. They're the fake school with the fake players and fake mascot and fake bishop and fake coach. They got their ass kicked on ESPN. They're the best. All right. Nothing can beat that. But this one is quickly moving up the charts in comedy relief. The spying scandal is shockingly dumb and every day more over the top. And yes, they should be in trouble, and yes, they will be in trouble, and that will include their head coach once this thing is all settled. Okay, but to appreciate the silliness of this Michigan story, and don't lose sight of the fact that they are one of the best 2 or 3 teams in college football right now. They're a decent bet to win the national championship, so don't lose sight of that. No, it doesn't knock them off their feet this year, not yet. But the silliness of this story and this scandal and why they would do it and what they would get out of it is this whole thing is straight from a Coen brothers movie. It really is. Have you ever seen Burn After Reading? Burn After Reading cracks me up. And once I learned of the main character in the Michigan sign stealing scandal, a military guy, an intelligence guy, all I could think about was the Coen brothers movie, Burn After Reading, with Brad Pitt, George Clooney, and John Malkovich. And so it was the usual Coen brothers thing, right? They all sort of follow this funny template, and that is there's the doofus, there's a couple doofus guys, of course, and then in Burn After Reading, one of them was Brad Pitt, who was hilarious as a personal trainer. But the Coen brothers formula is always, there's got to be a doofus or 2 or 3. Then there's a serious person that's trying to make sense of it all. Okay? And Burned After Reading, that was CIA agents. They're trying to piece the whole thing together. And then you got the person trying to scheme everything in some way. Like you go back to Fargo, Burn After Reading, they all have the same formula. And so in Burn After Reading, that was the State Department employee and sex addict George Clooney. That's all I could think about when I'm reading the story. And you're going to love the character here. I mean, he's a piece of work. So the characters in the Michigan sign stealing scandal are absolutely straight out of the Coen brothers movie. So here you go. Now, when you hear about this and you just shake your head to find out how dumb this is. All right, so we've got a military expert at the center of all of this, an intelligence guy. And yes, it's a reasonable question. I really think anybody, I don't care if you're a football fan or not, anybody should be asking the question, why is a highly trained intelligence officer trained on your nickel, by the way? This man has a dozen years of expensive education and training. No, more than that. He's got 20-something years of education and training on your nickel. And so the big question is, why would a highly trained intelligence officer figure out a way, it's not that tough, by the way, to decode signals to beat Rutgers in Indiana. Really? That's it? That's what this is about in the end? You're going to go through all of this and spend all that money, and this guy is going to do all this to beat Rutgers? This whole scandal is laughable and pathetic when you think about this. So Michigan needs to steal signs, hire somebody, have him hire somebody, have him be trained, and my favorite part is have him brag about stealing signs so Michigan can beat Indiana, Purdue, and Minnesota. Is that so? Okay. Michigan has one game a year. That's it. You got one tough game a year. And you're spying on everyone else? It's like cheating just to cheat. It's like this guy, this intelligence officer, which he, by the way, bragged about on LinkedIn. No joke. And you needed to go, like you were that bored that you had to find something to steal. So once you get past the Coen brother characters, it was if what is reported is true, and it sounds like it is because the details are pretty thorough, this is at best slimy and clearly against the rules. I mean, you can't just write it off and say, well, this is dumb. They did all this stuff just to beat Purdue. It's against the rules, and it's over the top. So I want you to get used to the name Connor Stallions. No, this is not porn. His name is Connor Stallions. Connor Stallions is the Naval Academy trained former Marine intelligence officer that works for the Michigan football program. On his LinkedIn page, see, this is when the thing is like a Coen Brothers movie. On his LinkedIn page, this dude is listing his military training, intelligence training, and its use. I guess he's selling himself to other programs, other teams. I don't know. We may find out that Connor Stallions, no, not a porn guy, Connor Stallions may have had other clients, because on his LinkedIn page, he's going to tell you that he uses all of his military training to help football programs. Okay, Connor Stallions. So he makes $55,000 a year. And, of course, now everyone would like to know how it is that he's been buying tickets for 30 games to see Michigan opponents over the last several years. He's reportedly spent thousands and thousands of dollars to go to these games. And to make things pretty clear, he would buy tickets on both sides with his video equipment. And why someone didn't say, hey, buddy, put your camera down is beyond me. Whatever. So Connor Stallions has been decoding plays for 3 years. If you say, Jeff, is that a thing? I'm going to say back, that's not really a thing. It's really not all that helpful. Now, I'm not saying it's not illegal, because it's clearly illegal based on what's in the rule book. But look, if you're Michigan and you're playing Indiana, you're so much better than the person across from you. It doesn't matter if Indiana says, hey, bud, I'm running over there. You still should kick their ass. To think that you brought on Connor Stallions and all of his gear and apparently all of his money, that somebody's been financing Connor Stallions to go and scout and decipher and steal plays, that you would go that far to beat Purdue is a joke. You're a joke. Connor, this is what we trained you for, man. This is it. This is how it's going to end for you. Okay, so a lot of people are going to laugh it off. Man, I think it's so weird. And once people start hearing about this dude, who's, of course, disappearing now, I feel like we got Oliver North on our hands now. Google that. So what's going to happen now? Now, people are going to laugh it off because it's some guy named Connor Stallions. He's acting like he's James Bond, and he's going James Bond on Rutgers. And yes, it's dumb, but it's ridiculously over the top. I bet that as more comes out and Connor Stallions is outed, which he has been, he's going to do that thing where he goes Oliver North, and I think he's going to fall on the sword for Michigan and for Jim Harbaugh, the head coach in Michigan, which I think is a very important character in all of this, maybe the most important character in all of this at the most important time in that program's, I'm not going to say history, but certainly the last 10 years. They might play for the national championship. So not lost is that Michigan might just be the best team in college football. And no, sign stealing from Wisconsin doesn't make Michigan that much better. Just so you know, it really isn't that important. It's not that necessary. But it sounds like they've gone out of their way to cheat, and the NCAA cannot look the other way. Nobody can look the other way here. You can't. It's too over the top and too high profile now for anyone to look the other way. So here's what's reported by the USA Today. Connor Stalions. Yep, there he is. You know that if it's not already some porn star's name, it's soon going to be a porn star name. Connor Stalions, the suspended Michigan staffer at the center of the NCAA sign-stealing probe, purchased tickets on his own. And we buy him in his own name, too. How good of an intelligence guy is this, right? He comes in the stadium with a bunch of gear using his own name. Or is it his name? Purchased tickets in his own name for more than 30 games over the past 3 years at 11 different Big Ten schools. The scope of the University of Michigan alleged sign-stealing operation includes both video evidence and electronics prohibited by the NCAA to steal signs. Where this goes from, hey, man, I'm just learning how they do this. It's sort of like card counting, right? Hey, if I can count cards, so be it. Where this goes into the next level of cheating is that Connor Stalions, your guy, by the way, taxpayers, don't you just want to sit down and say, Connor, all this training, this is it? You're at a Rutgers football game stealing signs. But where it goes to the next level is using the electronic surveillance to steal signs from some chubby dude in khakis while he signals in the offensive plays, makes this clearly against the rules. And it's so high profile and it's such a joke, they've got to do something. According to ESPN, it's an elaborate scouting system that appears to be emerging less than a week after Yahoo Sports first reported this. The NCAA rulebook, as if you really wanted to know, says any attempt to record either through audio or video means any signals given by an opposing player, coach, or other team personnel is prohibited. Stalions makes $55,000 a year. Why? You know what you learn about all this is what you can't appreciate this, the excess within big-time college football programs is laughable. There are so many people. You can't even keep track of who works and who doesn't work. So the idea that this dude is making $55,000 is not that uncommon in the world of big-time professional college football. It is so bloated, and there are so many assistants and so many hangers-on. It's unbelievable. So old Connor could get lost in the payroll mix pretty easily. So he makes $55,000 a year. According to the University of Michigan website, the operation included thousands of dollars in ticket sales and the cost of travel to the stadiums. You would think he would be hidden in some other building, right? Like it would be more elaborate than this. Instead, the dude is just sitting there with a bunch of gear. Like you'd think he could do some drones or something. Jim Harbaugh says, quote, and I think this is going to be the corporate line until he ends up leaving. I do not have any knowledge or information regarding the University of Michigan football program illegally stealing signals, nor have I directed any staff member or others to participate in an off-campus scouting assignment. I have no awareness of anyone on our staff having done that or having directed that action. Okay, well, let's ask a few obvious questions because I think this is going to end kind of ugly. Critical points, obvious questions. What did Jim Harbaugh know and when did he know it? Now, what he's going to do is exactly what he just said. He is going to tell the NCAA to blank off. That's what he's going to do. Okay? It's hard to believe he had no idea that Connor Stalions just went rogue on his own. Didn't anyone ever say, who's that guy at the table down there? And why is he telling me these things? Who are you, sir? And why are you wearing your Navy gear? Like, what? Nobody had any idea that Connor Stalions, who seems to know a lot about the Rutgers offense, so Jim Harbaugh never had any idea. Okay. Jim Harbaugh never really wondered why Connor Stalions went James Bond in Illinois. Is it against the rules what he's done? Yes. Is it dumb? Absolutely yes. Will it cost Michigan this year? No, not this year. These things, as many of you know, take some time. So it will drag out. So Michigan will, Jim Harbaugh, they'll get this bunker mentality, and they're all out to get us. I don't know where Connor Stalions is right now. Who knows where he is? I believe he's going to go Oliver North, though. So he disappears, but it's not going to hurt them this year. Likely down the road, it probably will, and it probably should. Will Jim Harbaugh get suspended during the season? Well, he's already been suspended once for telling the NCAA to F off. Jim Harbaugh is really good at this. Jim Harbaugh is a pretty sketchy dude. Will he get suspended this year? No. Will Michigan say this is disgusting, we'll do it ourselves? No, they will not. Because if the president of Michigan were to step in as Michigan is on its run for national championship and do something to Jim Harbaugh, the president of Michigan would get whacked, would get fired. Not Connor Stalions kind of whacked. I mean, just fired. So Jim Harbaugh is probably not going to be touched at all this year. It doesn't matter what's uncovered. It doesn't matter how silly this gets or how over the top this gets. Will they suspend him when he says, I knew nothing about it? No. Will Harbaugh be back at Michigan after this? Right, because that's where this will play out. They'll drag on. They'll try to talk to Connor Stalions. They'll try to get some information. They'll get a lot of it. The media will get a lot of it. Connor Stalions will say, I did it all on my own. He's going to go Oliver North. Will Harbaugh be back at Michigan? No, I bet not. Especially if they win. If they win the championship, I bet that he won't. In fact, I'll go in already. This is the way this thing typically plays out in college football, okay? He might just be the next head coach of the Chicago Bears before this is ever even decided. Oh, he won't leave now. He's going to give his team a good run at the championship. But in cheating in college football, it pays in the short term. This is dumb. Now, there's no, don't try to think that there's any redeeming quality to any of this. You're not learning anything. It's not worth the time. It's certainly not worth this. It's stupid. You should be able to kick Rutgers' ass no matter what. You don't need to do this kind of stuff. It's a joke. But is cheating in college football historically pays in the short term? Okay, and the rewards are huge in the short term. It's usually not as silly as this. But cheating in the short term is never punished. Cheating in the short term is always rewarded. The way it works is, and this is the way it's going to work now, you win big, the program gets busted, the coach that is a part of it that season that wins big, they get busted, that coach is long gone, he goes for a bigger and better job.